What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul. This is the Leeds Therapy. I do hope you are doing well. On the screen, you will see all of my socials. If you can make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, that you are commenting on the videos, that you are hyping the videos, that you're liking them just from an algorithm point of view. We're also on all of your favourite podcast apps, so on Apple and on Spotify as well. So if you are listening to the audio versions of these, if you could just make sure that you are liking those as well, because it just helps with the algorithm push. So 24 hours is a very, very long time in football, depending on how you feel about certain things and sort of how you digest the information that's actually out there and how it makes you feel. I think we can all agree that we have massively gotten away with it this weekend, particularly with West Ham losing. You've got Spurs that were losing as well. Forest won. So we have managed to pick up an additional point over 18th position. And I know a lot of people go, well, what about Forest being Forest and Spurs? If Spurs could have won that one, then we wouldn't be in 15th anymore, or they could have drawn and all of that. Yeah, no, I completely understand that. But my concern is our distance to 18th. I'm not really bothered what's going on with 16th and 7th. I am, but you know what I mean. My concern is with what is going on 18th position-wise, and we've managed to pick up another point on that. And if you listen to what Nuno said after West Ham lost, he was also very non-committal on Somerville, so there is a chance that Somerville might be out. We don't know yet, but he might be out for a little bit longer, which if that is the case, then that's good news for us, clearly. So I'm very much ever the optimist, and I'm very much ever the let's try and be measured with certain things. And listen, we all get emotional, and that's absolutely fine, and that's where we should be, and it's part and parcel of being a fan. It's particularly part and parcel of being a fan of Leeds United, for crying out loud. It's the way that we are. It's how we deal with stuff. It's what feeds us all, what takes us to the games, what makes us sing songs, what makes us, call Kelleher a wanker because he's not injured, all of that kind of stuff. It's the passion, it's the desire that we have. But in the cold, hard light of day, particularly for this, I'm now a lot calmer about the situation because the football god smiled on us a little bit. So we have to take that into consideration. We've got to keep racking up these points. I cannot draw my way to staying in the Premier League this season because I don't think I have the mental fortitude for that. And I will probably have a mental breakdown if that is the actual thing. So please don't do that. We've obviously got a slight issue with scoring goals at the moment. We know that, over 400 minutes without scoring a goal in open play in the Premier League. But what I will say in sort of countenance to that is that I think, and I said this in my previous video, I do think that the international break has probably come, for us anyways, at just the right time for us. So we've got 13 players out on international duty. We just need to pray and, whatever effigy it is that you need to burn, make sure that you do it to make sure that all of these players come back uninjured. That's the whole premise of these next few weeks, is making sure that nobody comes back injured. I just hope that's the case. Obviously, Okafor got called up today because of an injury, so that's great. I think Goodmanson's been called up as well. So out of the 11 players that we know that are going, there's an extra 2 on there that are also going as well. So congratulations to all of them, particularly to Noah Okafor. I think for him, from a personal point of view, that's a very, very important thing for him. So I'm genuinely thrilled for him overall. But what I wanted to do is I just wanted to run through some of the Squawka bits and pieces of information. Now, you might know, you might not know, but Squawka are pretty much one of the de facto stats things for putting out information with regards to particular game weeks. I generally tend to pay attention to them. You know how I like my stats. You know what my previews are like, although somebody said it was too many stats and they turned off on the last one. So It's fair. But that's kind of, it's my coping mechanism, is the statistics and general information. It's what gives me the the ability to try and make myself feel a little bit better about the situation and try and just give myself a little bit of confidence. We're still swinging around the 6% relegation percentage. So that makes me feel good as well. We've actually come down a little bit more. We were 6 point something. We're now just a pure 6%. But what I wanted to just run through is the game week 31 statistics on certain things, and just to kind of highlight that maybe we're not as bad as what we think we are. I completely hold my hands up and take on board that there is an issue with scoring goals at the moment, 100%. But I think it's important to mention the bits that we are doing quite well. So, looking at the first one is Jules 1 for game week 31. Now, interestingly, top of the list on that is Thiago from Brentford. He won 16 Jules. But if you just go down the list a little bit there, you'll see who's in number 2, Jakobiol. And then you'll see who's in number 5, Pascal Struijk. So between them, that's 22 duels that are defensive pairing won between them. That's not counting Rodon's as well, but that to me just shows how strong we are as a defensive unit. Yeah, Thiago won 16 duels, but between them, pretty much Biol and Struijk pocketed Thiago for most of the game. He might have won the duels, but he was extremely ineffective in what he was doing. He was always snuffed out. Everything was kind of snaffled up a little bit, and he always looked like he's running down corridors and not getting very far. So, you've got to give credit where credit's due on that one. Looking at the next one, aerial duels won. So 12 of the aerial duels, that's Thiago again. So he won 12 aerial duels. Now, again, 2 names that you will see on that list. There's 3 names on there, actually, that you will see on that list. Sorry, I wasn't even paying attention properly. Jakobiol won 8. Pascal Struijk won 7. Joe Rodon won 6. So that's 21 aerial duels that are defensive. The 3 key central defenders, if you like, won their aerial duels. And again, this, for me, it just speaks to how good we are as a defensive unit. And again, I take on board the attacking side of stuff, which is why I think this international break has just come at the right time. I take on board the attacking side of stuff, but we've had certain players that have been out, like James isn't fully up to match fitness yet. Okafor's been out for the last 4 weeks. It's no surprise that with Okafor being out that we're not that much we haven't been as much of a threat, or opportunities have been missed. So again, I think taking the aerial duels into consideration, again, that's a phenomenal effort by our 3 defenders. Absolutely. Final third pass is completed. Now, interestingly, our central defensive midfielder completed 20. Yes, 20 final third passes in there. Now, I think the thing that's important to note about that, in terms of not being in the top 10, there isn't a Brentford player that's in there. So again, we're speaking to the fact that our defensive solidity is there. We're very, very, very hard to beat, and we're very, very hard to break down. So again, that's something that's important to take note. It is quite comedic that it's our defensive midfielder that made the most final third passes completed in game week 31 for us as a team. And then the next one, clearances wise. Again, Mr. Jakobiol was in there with 10 defensive clearances for us on the weekend. Jakobiol just had an absolutely monstrous performance. I know from an algorithm point of view that Ampadu got it overall. I thought Ampadu had a very, very good game, but from a statistical point of view, doesn't lie. Biol is an absolute monster in defence. I feel a hell of a lot calmer when he's in there. Just personal opinion. But then I think the thing that's also important to note is that there at number 3, Ethan Pinnock had 11 clearances in that game as well, which does show that we were trying to attack. We just came up against an extremely well-organised defence. But again, That's not me saying that we're doing everything right, because from an attacking point of view, I know that we're not. But when you look at it in terms of contrast, and from the information that we have available, then you start to see that sometimes it's not just from an attacking point of view what we're doing, it's also what other teams are doing against us as well. And then conversely, the way that you look at that is that we then have to look at ways that we need to break that down. And that is something that we do 100% need to look at. Interceptions-wise, again, I know he's only into the top 10, but look at that there. Jacobiol with 3 interceptions in that game. Now, I've mentioned Jacobiol's name 5 times so far in this list that I've got. And again, for me, he was exceptional on Saturday evening. He's just so good, so assured, so physical, so strong. When you're coming up against Thiago, 6'2", 6'3", probably weighs about 15, 16 stone. He's a big unit and he's powerful. And for the second game in succession, although Thiago had a better game this time around, for the second game in succession, Biel pretty much dealt with him and handled him really, really well. Chances created. So here's an interesting one. One of my biggest bugbears was that Justin kept turning inside on himself and coming back on himself constantly. But in terms of top 10, he's 9th in the top 10 of chances created overall. Now, it's a bit of a false 9th because you've got from 2 down to 10 in there. Everybody created 3. The top chances created was Morgan Rogers with 4. So, again, I criticised Justin for it. I burped then really quietly, sorry. I criticised Justin for it, for always turning on the inside and not really being as proactive in terms of attacking. He didn't do too bad in the game overall. And I think, again, that it just speaks to, we got told by Leicester that he was crap, or Leicester fans that he was crap. He 100% isn't. Would have I preferred Gabby into there? Yeah, because Gabby's different gravy for that left-sided wing-back role. Justin's cutting in probably a lot more because he's right-footed. That's what I would take out of that anyways. And then I think as well, another important fact to look into this is that you look at the team of the week. And like I said, I've mentioned him many times in this video so far, but you've got Jacobiol in the team of the week. Again, a really, really good defensive performance by him. And interestingly, Pinnock from Brentford being in there as well. So it's when you look at things in context and you look at things less through sort of the emotional kind of aspect of what you're doing, it's a little bit easier to see a bit clearer, if that makes sense. And it's a pleasing thing to see. It absolutely is a pleasing thing to see one of our own players in there. We're a newly promoted side and Biel's getting an 8.11 out, on game week 31. It's fantastic to see and richly deserved. I mean, you look at the company that he's keeping in there. I was watching just before we went to go and watch the Brentford match. I watched Everton basically rip Chelsea a new backside. And you've got Beto scoring 2, you've got Ndiaye scoring an absolute worldie, and Gay doing really, really well. And then you look at the other players that are in there, Welbeck scoring 2 goals, Harry Wilson just doing Harry Wilson stuff at the moment. Nico Williams playing really well for Nottingham Forest. It's really pleasing to see. You can't take it anything other than, a positive based off of that. And the last little thing that I just wanted to show you overall for everything is, again, we talked about this in terms of like the top signings so far, this season, the top summer signings and what they've done. But what you're looking at now is most in-form Premier League players over their last 6 appearances. And it's not the first time that this player's been mentioned in there. And it is, again, Anton Stack. Average rating is 7.41 over the last 6 league games. You've got in there, the little rat that is Bruno Fernandes. As much as we might not like him, he's an absolute assist machine. You've got Gabriel, one of the best defenders in the league. James Hill playing fantastically well. Nori is playing fantastic as well. Elliot Anderson is one of my most favourite players in the Premier League. watching him live is different gravy. João Pedro, who's just basically scoring for fun. James Garner playing brilliantly at the moment as well. Cole Palmer in a struggling Chelsea team is like head and shoulders, and Szoboszlai, again, playing really, really well. And I'm just throwing it in there again. We are a newly promoted side. This is a player that's new to the Premier League this season, playing in very, very awkward, difficult circumstances. And he is rated 7th overall in the Premier League as in-form players. So I guess the whole point of this video is that I want to kind of put a bit of a positive spin on things. And again, for like probably the 4th time now, I accept that there is an issue with scoring goals. But when you pull the emotional side of stuff out of it, which I know it's difficult to do as Leeds United fans, and I completely accept that. I'm not saying that anybody's wrong for feeling the way that they're feeling, or for being pissed off at the way that we played on Saturday night. I was frustrated. I was pissed off. The bits and pieces of information that I've shown you so far, what I'm hoping is that it just, I don't know, maybe gives you that little bit of confidence, hopefully, moving forwards. That's the aim anyways. That's what I'm trying to do. And, I'm not full happy clapper, but what I'm trying to do is look at the data, the information, and try and make myself feel better. And in doing that, you come up with this statistical stuff, and it does help me and my psyche in terms of the way that I feel about everything. But again, yes, we need to start scoring goals again. Hopefully, praying everybody comes back from international duty fine, fit and roaring. You've got Dan James will hopefully get some valuable minutes. You've got Noah Okafor that will hopefully get some valuable minutes in the tank. You've got Al Tanaka that will hopefully get some valuable minutes in the tank. Special shout out for Tanaka, actually. When he came on, he made a massive difference. He progressed the ball beautifully. So I would like to say that we might hopefully get to see him a little bit more in the next few games. Fingers crossed. Like I said, just please, I don't want injuries from the international duties when people come back, because we've got a run in, we've got some games that we need to win, and we need to be just putting this to bed. I genuinely think we're very, very capable of doing it. We are a very, very difficult side to beat. That's been proven in the last couple of games in particular, in terms of the amount of shots that have actually been on target. We pretty much kept Brentford to no chances created. There was no real saves that Darlow had to make in the entire game. We restricted Crystal Palace when we were down to 10 men. No shots on target. And I know it's boring, but these are the little things sometimes that you need to take out of it just to try and make yourself feel a little bit better. We just need to start scoring goals. That's all we need to start doing is start scoring goals. That's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please don't forget to click the like button. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, your notifications are turned on, all of that good stuff. Comment whatever you want in the comment section down below. Keep it respectful, please. If you're listening on the audio, apologies, because you won't have been able to see all of my lovely graphics that I've put up as well. But if you enjoyed the audio, please like it for me as well. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of each other. Most importantly, please take care of yourself, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.